Hello, my internet friends. Welcome to the Rigel Show. We are coming to you live from my Earth Dome, also known as my mystical driftwood fort on the sandy beach of the cosmic navel, where song runs through oh, of reality. See what I did there? Just synthesized the Star-Spangled Banner with my kind of mystical theology. For those of you who are maybe just now paddling by on your own piece of driftwood looking for some playmates, you are welcome here. You can click that little link pinned in the comments and hop on screen with me in just a little bit. This space is a playful Theotokian riparian zone that seeks to integrate traditional values, modern values, progressive postmodern values, and that which is emerging on the bleeding edge of the noosphere, postmodern values. If you want to join in the fun, all you have to do is click that link I pinned in the chat and break the fourth wall. That's what we call it here in this space. Sorry, just got a little cough coming. Here at the Cosmic Navel, we dip our toes in the paradox, the liminal space where opposites learn that they need each other to grow past their self-imposed limitations. We smear together opposite energies, or energia. Is today the day you're experimenting with medicinal friction? You see, it doesn't always come in pill form. You may actually find medicinal friction growing out in the wild, and you can pick it and smoke it ritually, okay? Not recreationally, but ritually. Or maybe you slipped on some transcendental efficiency and found yourself sliding through a portal to a world right in front of you that you didn't even know existed. In this space, you're welcome to experiment with these alternative medicinal doorways. And speaking of doorways, hey Ethan, hey Matt, I am going to enter the Cosmic Navel through song, okay? And Steven's backstage. Do you want to come on with me and just kind of mute while I kind of play? You can give a thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, you'll come on later. Gotcha. Okay, I am going to just play play this song that is a collaboration with the present, the past, and I would say the eschaton. And if you'll just give me 1 second here, I tried to bring my fingers on screen with me and I was getting an echo, but if you give me just like 2 seconds, and don't leave me. I will try to bring my fingers on so you know that I'm actually playing the piano. Okay, so we're gonna try this one more time. Rigel's fingers. I'm gonna change the audio to kind of a thing that shouldn't be creating any sound. So we got that. Enter the studio, and I'm going to minimize that and bring my fingers on stage. Okay, there they are, and I hear no echo. All right, so the reason I call this a collaboration with the present, the past, and the eschaton, which is actually just the eternal present, technically, it's a Christ is Risen song over here in the Eastern Orthodox Church, which I identify as. We just had Pascha, our Easter, this last Sunday. And I kind of co-wrote a Christ is Risen song with lyrics. Not just the chorus, but some lyrics to go with it. My buddy Brian Odine from my 100 Days of Creating songwriting community, he wrote one of the lyrics, and then I adapted a couple of the verses from the St. John Chrysostom homily, which is read during our Paschal liturgy, which starts at 11 p.m. on Saturday and goes until like 2 a.m. and then the party starts. So I'm still kind of recovering from those days that all get smeared into one giant, glorious experience. Okay, so here we go. Hey, Ron. Glad you're out there with me. Okay, here we go. It's called Christ is Risen. Can you hear that piano? Okay. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Let no one weep when you fall, for Hades is fettered in chain and ball. Thou pardon shines forth from the grave. When death meets Jesus face to face, Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. The table's laden and wineskins full, rich and poor together ye hold. You sober and heedless honor this day. Let none who hunger be turned away. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Oh, hungry death, where is your sting? Where's the sorrow that you bring? The tomb where life was laid is bare. Your victory was stolen there. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Excuse me. All right. So, you all are now welcome to join me here on screen. I'm going to bring Steven on here. All right, Steven and anyone else? Hey, Steven.
I've sung that, I don't know, 150 times in the last week
Yep, yep.
in multiple churches.
Oh, nice.
I might have been able to harmonize with you with one practice, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, this version is meant to be harmonized.
Yes,
I
it would be
actually,
very easy to harmonize.
yeah. The only thing that's not intuitive about it is it's not really in 4/4 time or
Right,
3/4 time. It's like it's in kind of like 7/4 time ish
right.
with some 4/4 or 2/4
And yeah,
sections.
there's some time breaks that would be
Yeah.
you need one or two practices
Yeah, yeah.
to figure out where you were going when.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, what's bubbling up for you today, Steven?
I don't know. I've finishing Pascha, like you said, so it's been amazing, and going, like I said, going to I've been in multiple churches. It's funny. I until a few days ago, I had never been in any Orthodox church but my parish church. So for 3 years, I have gone to a Romanian church, but I had never been to another OCA church.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I did that on Wednesday for Bright Wednesday service.
Yeah.
There was like a get together of the priests, and so I drove a priest there who used to be a member of what's called the Eight, which is a choral group that traveled the world. It was from St. Vladimir Seminary, so OCA Seminary. So
Oh,
he
wow.
traveled the world as a tenor. So at the end, what was really special about that is at the end of the service, he and I went back there and we sang tenor with the choir.
Oh,
So it
cool.
was funny,
Oh,
and we
so
sang
you're
what you
a
were singing. So
yeah.
that
Yeah.
was
So,
really cool.
so you sing tenor.
Yeah,
That's I
I can
too.
sing bass or tenor,
Yeah.
but I'm
I
more comfortable tenor.
yeah, me too. I actually have a hard time like um resonating in the bass
You get
range.
airy
Yeah, I
down at
get
the B flat
airy
and
and
A, right?
weak and I can't like hear myself, so I can't
Yeah,
stay in tune. Um and so tenor just has kind of served me well. I was like literally the tenor section in our church before I had a child. And then, well, my wife had the child. I was semi-present for that. Um, but I've
yeah,
spent many years in the choir, and really I love singing harmony. I'd
yeah,
never really sung harmony growing
yeah,
up, and with all of my musical experiences, I just never like learned how to do it until I joined a choir.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's funny. Are you singing now in your Orthodox church?
um, I'm I'm learning to chant
Oh, okay.
very slowly. So it's a little different.
Yeah,
I just I love the choir. I just can't quite like commit
yeah.
to the schedule.
It took me over a year to integrate
Yeah,
in. Once you do, it's fantastic. But
yeah,
there's a year and also where the liturgy doesn't seem quite so special because you're fumbling with the music.
yeah, yeah. Well, and something that I mean, I feel like the chanter stand and the choir are like they're like in conversation with each other
Yeah,
from different parts of the brain. Like the choir is much less improvised. I mean, there is some, you'll have people who will sometimes like chant certain things, but typically you're just following what's written on the page and
yeah,
like really blending with multiple kind of octaves of harmony.
yeah,
And the chanter stand is more like jazz improvisation, where you're given kind of a tone
yeah.
to improvise on, and then you get to
You
riff
can
on
kind of,
it.
yeah, you can do your own method.
Yeah, but one of the problems is people. We had one like incredible chanter at our parish like years ago, and his family left. Like they were all amazing musicians, and he was like, I would say one of the best chanters like in the country. But he was just incredible, but no one else really knows how to chant and like really has carried the kind of chant tradition forward. And
Yeah.
so we're starting to just kind of revert to music. And I'm worried
Oh,
that we're going to lose like this kind of
yeah.
improvisational aspect of the entire liturgy. I mean, I'm being dramatic, but I
No, I understand. I understand everything that you're saying. I
yeah,
understand, I know the dynamic, right? So, but I'll
right,
tell you one thing that as a tenor you can get away with a lot,
yeah,
right? Because they're like gold, right? Everybody's always looking for tenors, and you can improvise within the tenor, and no one's going to care.
yeah. The this is true.
So
This
it's
is
a,
true.
it's a lot. If you're in the bass and you start improvising, you get in trouble. But if you're in the tenor, you can,
Right,
you
right.
can you can do more heresies as a tenor than you can
Oh
another.
yes, you're speaking my love language.
Yeah. But you should definitely be chanting and reading. You should, if you're not reading, do it. I was reading before I was singing.
Yeah, I I'm learning. It's a slow. I'm on like the 20-year track. So I have so
Yeah.
many fires burning and plates I'm like
Yeah.
trying to keep spun. I mean, I have lots of excuses too. So there's
Yeah.
there's that.
My primary godmother is the choir director, so I have
Oh,
that advantage.
nice. Hey Sherry, get on in here, Sherry.
She will come in.
And then Insight Incorporated. I don't know who Insight Incorporated is. Maybe that's someone new or someone who's will be coming back. Um, do you have any poems or thoughts?
I'm always writing lots of poems.
Yeah. Do you want to share something? Because we kind of have we have some space right now.
All right. I'll do one I wrote this morning.
Oh my gosh, you're a machine. Go for
I
it.
yeah, I wish I wasn't really. Okay, you so ready? Ready? It's Pascha 2026 is the title. So it's perfect because you were just talking about it. The earth, or the entire earth we inherit, whole cloth as if a tapestry. We are swaddled within, upon which our body makes its thematic imprint, the arch of the foot and of the spine. And you are charged as you wander the earth, as if discovering that your skin projects the whole universe, with forming a likeness to him, to weave yourself into the earth without seam or tangle, worthy to hang on the wall in the king's feasting halls. And so you hang there watching, as the host in his garden examines the thorns on the roses, as the honeybees tend to the flowers.
Mm, I love that.
Yeah, it's I don't write a lot of poetry that's that sort of earthy, that's sort of
Hmm.
earthbound. My poetry tends to be more like a spiritual thing. So when I wrote that, one of the first things I did is send it to Sherry because Sherry's like the earth, right? So and she's like, "Oh, I love this." It's look at her. She's like, "Read it again."
She's like, yeah, read it again. Yeah, I liked the what kind of stuck out to me. I just got caught in the image of the curve of the foot and the curve of the spine.
Yeah,
What was that? What inspired? How'd you like
that
come
is
into that?
actually sort of where it began, and I have no idea where that came from.
Really?
But it's funny that you picked that out. Well, it's kind of an
Yeah.
unusual turn of phrase, right? But that's what started it. The poem built from that. So go figure.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
I suppose it's like a rebirth. You see like images of from the womb, like of a child forming, right? And you see all these curves, and you in the way that I'm just saying what's coming to mind here. So maybe it's like that. It's that the poem was being generated from a birth, from that like birth image, and then the earthiness comes out of that because that's the curve, the arch of the foot is one thing, but when then you say the spine, it's somehow just the spine, just that word, and it just draws you into a more earthy place, right? Somehow. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because the arch of the foot is more commonly said than the arch of the spine.
Hmm.
Oh, and Sherry says in
Yeah.
the curve of the earth.
Yeah. Hey, pick and choose. Get in here. Um, yeah. All right. Robin's coming to the stage. Here we go. Hey, Robin. There's something blocking your view, but it's like I
Oh,
see part of you.
you know what it is? It's my computer has this weird. Hold on a second.
She's eclipsed by the earth.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's the top of my computer is
Uh-huh.
loose,
Oh, really?
and when I push on it, sometimes I can make that camera work better. Shit, almost there.
I mean, this is good enough. This actually kind of feels ruggedly authentic, you know?
Away from that bright light that's coming through my window too. I'm upstairs because my house is full of people today.
If you sit under it,
Oh.
you can have a halo like I do.
There we go. Is that a little better?
Huh. That is so great.
Okay.
Robin, so good to see you're back.
I am. I just
Yeah.
ran into town and had a doctor appointment and ran back to make this. So
Oh, that's lovely. So what's bubbling up for you today? Do you have any poetry or anything you want to share?
I do actually. I don't know, Rigel, if you've ever heard my Jesus Jones song, but after the last Cosmic Navel thing that we all were doing, and I know there's a lot of like spirituality and religion attached to one's spirituality coming through this group a lot. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I spent 7 years as a Moonie, and that was a real.
Wait, I've heard that term before.
It's a person who was in the group that Reverend Moon, Sun Myung Moon, ran, and he was sort of touting himself as the like next coming, you know.
Oh my
and,
God. Okay. Yes. That's like I am kind of like semi addicted to cult documentaries.
Yeah.
And he was mentioned.
And it's progressively gotten weirder since I've been out of that experience for, let's see, oh gosh, a good 40 years, you know. But anyway, it's progressively gotten weirder and worse and violent and strange and all these things. So I'm really glad I had my experiences there, because that's where I met my husband, and that's where I met a lot of people that I'm still deeply close to.
Yeah.
So everything you do, even the things that seem weird or creepy in hindsight, have some beautiful silver linings. So so anyway, I wrote this song called Jesus Jones. Let me get my guitar.
Okay. We got to make sure we get your audio. I'm gonna confirm that your audio settings. Okay. So remember. All right. So Stephen, both you and I are gonna need to mute, and I am going to turn off echo cancellation for your audio. Okay, Robin.
Okay.
But then we'll turn it back on when you're done playing. So let me get this set up. Steven's muted. I'm clicking echo cancellation. All right. You are on.
Let's see, and I'm trying to remember where I do this song, because I haven't done it for a while. This is called Jesus Jones. Jesus should have had kids, could have raised them well. Tell them there's no heaven, tell them there's no hell. Just their little hearts ringing out like bells, trying to keep them free. Jesus would have been a radically awesome dad. Go for a walk upon the water when you're feeling sad. Catch a couple of fish, feed the whole dad blasted community. He could have married the girl of his dreams, but somehow his life didn't turn out the way it seems like any daddy would have wanted it to. Put a do-do-do-do-do. Then we have a little whistling going on here, and I'm not in whistle mode today. Put a crown of flowers upon his head. Hold a backyard party, we can raise the dead. Man, oh man, you should have tasted that dude's bread. It was heavenly. My next door neighbor is Jesus Jones, and he's got roses on his picket fence all around his humble, happy home. He's a pillar of our community, changes wine into water just to plant a tree, bounces everybody's kid there on his knee like there was his own. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's so nice to have you home.
Well, that's pleasant.
Oh, that was so lovely.
So that's my relationship with Jesus right now.
There you go.
I love that line, turns wine into water just to plant a tree. So good. Just a sec. JD, can you show yourself just to confirm that you are indeed who I believe you are?
I was trying, but for whatever reason, the browser's giving me problems with my camera.
Okay. Well, I know who you are. And,
Oh,
you know, just this is part of the policy, you know, the gentle structure for our community. Robin,
Yes.
can you just share a little bit about how like you came into the Mooney community and then what changed?
Yeah. Well, still have an incredibly close friend who was like a mentor to me when I was late high school, and he was like maybe 28 or something like that. And we always talked about just the spiritual world. And he called me one night and he said, "Oh my God, you have to listen to this." And there are things about what Reverend Moon wrote called the Divine Principle. There are things about that really struck me. There's a lot of Old Testament weird stuff, but and I think that has a lot to do with the Korean culture, you know. But the New Testament stuff was basically the world of spirit is a dimension that we are just don't generally access. But don't be so surprised, because when things happen like, wow, that's really cool, that's amazing, or that's a cult or something, people have all different responses to it. But the things that he wrote about the spirit world, I had experienced. So I thought, okay, well, this makes a lot of sense. And then the basic premise is Jesus could have had a family. The family could have been a model. The model could extend to the world. So, and I bought that. I thought that was pretty cool. The actual expression of people in the church was really misogynistic and painful, and I didn't like it at all. So count myself out of that. But the people on my level of being there, you know, the non-hierarchical, you know, the people on my level were incredible and biggest hearts in the world, and sacrificial and willing, so willing, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like broken people, that whole idea of, oh, she's so broken, she goes to it was like, these are people who are smart and strong and ready to work, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that really lost its charm when the reality of greed and misogyny came into play. So
Yeah. When you first came on and you were like messing with your camera, I had this thought, like, this is what, there was some line I said in my little entry, kind of prologue, what's it called? Preamble. My little preamble. I was talking about how, today experimental fiction doesn't always perform.
preamble, like you were ambling around and you.
Yeah, well, I have my little like vision casting poetry thing that I read as I'm starting this thing, and it's or maybe you slipped on some transcendental efficiency and found yourself sliding through a portal to a world right in front of you that you didn't even know existed. And when I saw you like fiddling with your camera, and I can like kind of see you, but I can't really see you, I feel like that is this common experience that so many people who are drawn to the spiritual world are like, they've seen little glimmers of like through the cracks. There's something there. And I don't know, it seemed like a metaphor for what draws us to this, like,
I'm trying to slide into this little moment here. Yeah. I've experienced it more with music, like if I'm open enough, if I'm not all in my own head, if I'm open enough, I can hear things that I'm not creating them, or I don't think I'm creating them. I think I'm hearing something that's outside of me. So that happens. That's probably my strongest spiritual experience, that's outside of my own body. But I tell you, I have a friend who I used to sing with, and she's a big old conduit. Oh my gosh. And my nephew died, and she didn't know, because she doesn't know my sister, and she didn't know my nephew. And I had just found out, and I hadn't called anyone or told anyone. And she called me up and she said, "You have a nephew, Sean, is he okay? Because he's really trying to get to me." And she told me all these things that,
Wow.
no way she could have known. She's in a different life with me out here than I was growing up with my family, So there's no connection she had at all. And I think the old me would have gone, "Whoa, that's amazing," but the new me sort of says, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense."
Yeah.
Because if my friend loves me and I love my sister, then love can connect us. So
Yes, totally, 100%. Sherry,
Hi.
nice to see
Robin.
you here.
hi.
Yeah. I was late to the party, but I was watching. So yeah, it was really good. I love the song.
There's no late
And the
in the
poem.
eschaton.
There's no time.
Well, what's bubbling up, fermenting in
There's a
you,
lot of
Sherry?
There's a lot of bubbling going on in my little head, but it's too big to talk about, so I won't.
I had a friend the other day. He was like, "I always feel like whenever you ask me what's bubbling up, like I feel like I have to just kind of like go deep and unearth like the most vulnerable possible thing that is going on in my life." And I was like, "Well, actually, I've never thought about the term bubbling up, but I think it's also just like, it can just be the little froth that's just already forming on the top. It's like, can
like
be
on my
very,
coffee.
very
Actually, there's
basic.
something bubbling up in my coffee.
Ooh.
Yeah, it could be lava deep, or it could be bubbles on top.
Yeah.
Bubbling also has kind of a mixing connotation, doesn't it? It's like,
Ooh, there's the chemist.
if
Yeah.
you put a bubble up through liquid, it mixes the liquid.
And the distiller, the distiller and the chemist is making analogies here.
Or
In the
bubble
house.
if you feel
But
alone and encapsulated, and you want to share what's deep, what you're holding on to,
Yeah.
because it's fragile, but it's still solid, and not solid, but it's still holding you in.
that's a very pessimistic thing to say.
So what's bubbling up, you shallow people?
Ian, good to see you, my friend.
Hey guys.
Hello.
How-
I was like, what's going on? My YouTube stream was still playing. I was like getting the double speak here.
Well, what's frothing and bubbling up or fermenting with you.
I'm drinking a cappuccino, so we'll go with frothing for me.
Yay.
I well, I had a thought, and we'll put a pin in that one. The intro to your show today, you mentioned breaking the fourth wall, inviting new people in, and it struck me that like the fourth wall can be broken from both sides, because typically breaking the fourth wall would be like a behind the scenes. You get to see like an actor who's playing a character that you like, but then you get to see them.
Oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh.
And they freeze. It's being dramatic.
Sorry, that's my hedgehog.
Interlude.
Little intermission. Inside Incorporated, come back to us in the eschaton.
Well, I can do show and tell.
Yeah, please.
I,
Oh wait, okay.
Oh,
Inside
back,
Incorporated
back.
is back.
Back.
Ian, sorry, you broke up right when you were describing the behind the scenes form of breaking the fourth wall, and then you were frozen.
Yeah, so it just the fourth wall is like an analogy from theater. So you have the three walls that create the space that the individual is inhabiting, who we're all watching. So there's a bunch of observers, an audience, and then the character on stage. And so when they break the fourth wall, it would be some sort of reference to the fact that they're being observed by the audience, typically within a theatrical production. I was using the behind the scenes. That's another form of that. Direct contact with people that you typically just observe. But then what you were inviting was not the performer to interact with the observers, but the observers to interact with the performer. It's like your space. You're the one playing the piano here. And so that was just interesting to me because liturgically, I struggle with some forms of lecture-based Christianity that have very few spaces for people to participate within it's really the liturgy. Like you were talking about your role as in the choir, Stephen, or as a chanter, Rigel, and it's really a shame to me because there's so many people that struggle with like purpose and direction in life, and it's not that they don't maybe need to move somewhere or do something bigger, but I think a lot of plumbers could also offer words of encouragement that they just don't have space for that. And so you have the typical format being, two people that can maybe play an instrument and sing maybe, and that's rarer than it should be. And then someone who has at least not as much discomfort with public speaking, that is willing to be the preacher. And then like you've got the volunteer, sort of the door opening person is usually the best person in the church in my experience. And the issue, I think, is that there's no opportunity to break that fourth wall. And so we've operated in this space with a massive spiritual fourth wall, which is like they did that in Jesus's time, and he ripped the fourth wall in half to make sure that
Shit.
yeah. So that's what was bubbling up for me. Is I've always thought that the people that are not presenting, not initiating, should be able to offer these things that bubble up and come from indirect angles and more mysterious places, so that we can follow the Spirit.
God, that is so good.
I need a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's what he was saying reminded me that in our church there's a lot of ways to participate, but for some reason our priest has slowly been taking the little ones away. Like, it's these little ones. It's hard to control the people because the people doing these little things are often the untrained ones. And so he's been taking them away. And so it used to be that when someone new came in the church that I would teach them how to ring the bell, because it's pretty nice, right? We ring the bell at the beginning of the service. That way they can feel like they were doing something. It's very tactile. You got to pull it, you got to watch when it's time to do it. It's really a good way to bring someone in. And then so recently like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, it wasn't 6 months ago. The priest got an automatic ringer. So now he goes behind and he pushes the little thing in the thing and it automatically rings. And to make it worse, right? So on Pascha, we do a lot of processions where the choir and everybody goes out and we walk underneath the bell, and this ringer is really loud because it's an idiot, right? And it just rings. And the choir was to the point that it couldn't hear themselves sing. So now we have this bell that's preventing people from a first initiatory experience. And then in the end, when you finally sort of get integrated, there's the bell again to destroy your integration. And so I had to write a poem on that, but it's just so bad. Like I can't believe. So I guess I'll have to go to him and yell at him.
Yes.
And it totally makes me think about the people who are hearing the bell too, because when the bell rings, before you knew it was a human ringing the bell.
Right.
Yeah.
Your heart connected to the humanity of the bell ringer.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
You can't.
And
you
now
can't
the bell
live-
rings, and it's like it's like a neon sign instead of maybe those letters that somebody put up on the sign. You have to have some connection
Kind
to.
of like when you call for help to some customer service line and you get AI.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you're
it's
like,
funny because I would train a new person. The new person would be, well, what if I screw up? What if I don't put? I said, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Right? It's when you don't screw up at that anymore that we move you on to something where you will screw up.
And the people who hear you screw up go, oh, isn't that darling? He screwed up.
Yes. Oh, it's the new person. We'll talk to them at lunch or at coffee hour and say
It's
how
all
lovely.
heart. It's all heart.
Yeah.
but
And it gives an opportunity. Yeah.
I'm going to, say that this is also something like what Matt's saying here. Churches need to waste more time together. That was my critique of both the North Estuary and the South Estuary that I went to. We needed to waste way more time together. Like it was so rigid and everything was just like everybody's getting filed over here and then filed over there and then time to, shovel food into your mouth and then, okay, now we're here. And,
Yeah.
and in
Yeah,
the
it's very-
end, there were so many people I wanted to talk to that I just didn't have time to talk to because there was no time to waste.
The
Yeah.
no time to waste thing is a brutal reality of our. It's a violent reality from our culture, but I think that is indicative of what I was thinking as we were continuing on this. Like we are subjecting the people to things that we shouldn't or aren't beneficial with this idea that the product of the performance is worth it. Like it's an ends justify the means sort of mentality. But then my argument has been for a while that like when it comes to institutions, I don't want to have I don't want to pick a fight with every group that figured out a way to gently what was your term, Rigel? Like gently structure things, like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was
it's that's an indication that I have like a problem with authority and I'm trying to grow and I need to submit to that. But what I do have a problem with is the idea that the institution is the end, but it's not. It's the product is the people, or the purpose is the people that it's serving. I talked a little bit with Paul Allen about this, and we talked about how it's mutual, that people serve the institution. This is why you incorporate the young bell ringing individual and you grow them up into maybe a priest one day. But certainly some part of the structure. And at the same time, the structure is then only as good as its ability to dignify the lowest member, right?
Oh God, I love that.
Yes.
When my husband and I were hosting for Woof and Workaway, we did Workaway too. These are two platforms where people who are traveling or whatever, they can come and work on your farm. And the contract is, they work 4 or 5 hours a day, and then the rest of their time is free time. And when you're living on a farm and the work is 8 hours a day, I mean, sometimes 10 or 12, 4 or 5 hours is like, as a host, I was like, I don't know if that's going to be enough. But when you've got like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people, like sometimes we had 6 people here, what would normally take you 12 hours was taking you like 2, you know. Anyways, just talking about wasting time and structure. The structure I found with Woof was really interesting because we would work intensively, and of course, if we were all involved in a project that everybody was super excited to see the end result of, they would gladly just keep going. It was not a big deal. But the wasted time was like so great because we would, it would usually start after lunch sometime, because we'd have lunch and then it was break time, a long break, and everybody would just hang out and talk, It's sometimes just staying at the table for hours, which is communion, right? The table is communion. And new ideas would pop up about what we were working on, or, people would talk about their personal lives and how they can't incorporate some of the things they would like to into their lives because of how they live or where they live. And, and the conversation was always really super generative. And then the next day, getting up to work together was it was like a new heaven and a new earth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the fact that we worked together side by side, and then we chilled
Yeah.
together. Like it's just a really human way to be together,
I was just thinking about, I'm sorry, I'm doing talking and thinky-talky stuff, but I was talking to somebody about how our churches avoid suffering as a rule. We avoid it as a rule, and yet suffering is, like, in my life, the point of greatest growth and the deepest amount of love and connection. And so it's like this incredibly rich zone that we're intentionally building our structures around. And one thing that occurs to me in the busy sort of regimented schedule is that we're attempting to avoid limit. And so limit is like death and limit go together in the sense that that is our limit. And we don't face that, and we don't, I don't know if anybody's read Liturgies of the Wild yet, but it's fantastic.
Haven't yet.
And he tells this beautiful story about I'll just tell the end part, but this guy's like in a situation, and he got there because he made this sort of mystical woman angry at him by not sort of like proposing to her, even though that would have been the right thing to do. But he was afraid of this king, and so he turned the woman over to the king who wanted to marry her. And then the woman was like, all right, but before we get married, then you just have to kill this guy who did this thing to me. And so then he's like getting advice, and he talks to his horse for advice. And the horse is like, you gotta, they're gonna boil him alive. You gotta go in there, and you gotta face the pot of water, and you gotta run towards it. Like, don't look to either side, and don't hesitate. You got to run towards it. And so he jumps in the pot, like the horse said, and he's down for like 20 minutes, and it's boiling hot water. And then he stands up, and he's like glowing. He's glorified. And then the king is like jealous of this cool dude in his place, and so he does the same thing, and he's just dead. And it actually like warped him, like when they dumped the pot out. And then the guy that was glorified gets to marry the woman that he was supposed to. But the point of that to me is like, you have to run towards your suffering, run towards your limit. And I think that's where the wasted time thing comes into play. Because if we stick to something being commercializable, then of course you have to pack it, because you don't want to sell somebody something with limit, right? This is the best experience of your life, and Midwesternary changed me forever, and it was because of the lectures, which are repeatable, and we can definitely get good guests, and all of these things. When in reality, it's actually the pot of boiling water that will change you.
I have to read something about pots of boiling water.
Do it.
Of course. Okay. So this is The Golden Key by George MacDonald with illustrations by Maurice Sendak. He wrote Where the Wild Things Are. And there's a little girl, her name is Tangle, and she gets scared out of her house and is running through the woods because the fairies were playing tricks on her and they scared her and she ran away. The sun was now set and the darkness coming on, but the child thought of no danger but the bears behind her. If she had looked round, however, she would have seen that she was followed by a very different creature from a bear. It was a curious creature, made like a fish, but covered instead of scales with feathers of all colors, sparkling like those of a hummingbird. It had fins, not wings, and swam through the air as a fish does through water. Its head was like the head of a small owl. After running a long way, and as the last of light was disappearing, she passed under a tree with drooping branches. It dropped its branches to the ground all about her and caught her as in a trap. She struggled to get out, but the branches pressed her closer and closer to the trunk. She was in great terror and distress when the airfish, swimming into the thicket of branches, began tearing them with its beak. They loosened their hold at once, and the creature went on attacking them till at length they let the child go. Then the airfish came from behind her and swam on in front, glittering and sparkling, all lovely colors, and she followed. It led her gently along till all at once it swam in at a cottage door. The child followed still. There was a bright fire in the middle of the floor, upon which stood a pot without a lid, full of water that boiled and bubbled furiously. It bubbled, Rigel. The airfish swam straight to the pot and into the boiling water, where it lay quiet. A beautiful woman rose from the opposite side of the fire and came to meet the girl. She took her up in her arms and said, "Ah, there, you have come at last. I've been looking for you for a long time." She sat down with her on her lap, and there the girl sat staring at her. She had never seen anything so beautiful. She was tall and strong, with white arms and neck and a delicate flush on her face. The child could not tell what was the color of her hair, but could not help thinking it had a tinge of dark green. She had not one ornament on her, but she looked as if she had just put off quantities of diamonds and emeralds. Yet here she was in the simplest, poorest little cottage, where she was evidently at home. She was dressed in shining green. Okay, so she has this time with this lady, and then a little while later, the lady serves her some supper. Let me see here. Sorry.
Airfish stew.
So the lady takes the supper from the cottage. Okay, so first she gets a bread out of one hole in the wall, then milk out of another, and then several kinds of fruit out of a third. And then she went to the pot on the fire and took out the fish, now nicely cooked. And as soon as she had pulled off its feathered skin, ready to be eaten. "But," exclaimed Tangle, and she stared at the fish and could say no more. "I know what you mean," returned the lady. "You do not like to eat the messenger that brought you home. But it is the kindest return you can make. The creature was afraid to go until it saw me put the pot on and heard me promise it should be boiled the moment it returned with you. Then it darted out of the door at once. You saw it go into the pot of itself the moment it entered, did you not?" "I did," answered Tangle, "and I thought it very strange, but then I saw you and I forgot all about the fish." "In fairyland," resumed the lady, as they sat down to the table, "the ambition of the animals is to be eaten by the people, for that is their highest end in that condition. But they are not therefore destroyed. Out of that pot comes something more than the dead fish. You will see." Tangle now remarked that the lid was on the pot, but the lady took no further notice of it till they had eaten the fish, which Tangle found nicer than any fish she had ever tasted before. It was as white as snow and delicate as cream, and the moment she had swallowed a mouthful of it, a change she could not describe began to take place in her. She heard a murmuring all about her, which became more and more articulate, and at length, as she went on eating, grew intelligible. By the time she had finished her share, The sounds of all the animals in the forest came crowding through the door to her ears, for the door still stood wide open, though it was pitch dark. And they were no longer sounds only, they were speech, and speech that she could understand. She could tell what the insects in the cottage were saying to each other, too. She even had a suspicion that the trees and flowers all around the cottage were holding midnight communications with each other, but what they said she could not hear. As soon as the fish was eaten, the lady went to the fire and took the lid off the pot. A lovely little creature in human shape, with large white wings, rose out of it and flew round and round the roof of the cottage, then dropped fluttering and nestled in the lap of the lady. She spoke to it some strange words, carried it to the door, and threw it out into the darkness. Tangle heard the flapping of its wings die away in the distance. Now, have we done the fish any harm? She said. No, answered Tangle, I don't think we have. I should not mind eating one every day. They must wait their time like you and me too, my little Tangle. And she smiled a smile which the sadness in it made more lovely.
What is the name of that book again, please?
It's the most amazing book, Robin. Golden Key by George MacDonald. It is the most. It has an afterword by W.H. Auden. Would anyone like to hear it?
Can you? I wanted to hear. I kind of like got lost in the middle of the story. It was just sometimes my brain just gets distracted, and then I never really like pick the thread back up again. Can you just like summarize that story, and how it kind of relates?
Well, I heard boiling pot of water, and I was like, okay. So Tangle gets frightened off by the fairies because fairies they weren't actually trying to frighten her off. The reason they frightened her off was because the ladies who were taking care of her, it wasn't her family, her mother abandoned her and stuff. And they were lazy, and they kept Tangle locked in a room. And their place was a mess, and fairies don't like that. They don't like messy things. And they're going to tell you that. They're going to do something to make you change it. So they decided one night to frighten everybody in this cottage because it was such a terrible mess. Okay? And they frightened Tangle because she was alone in the house because they had left for the evening. And she went out the window, and then she gets caught up in this birch tree, right? And the birch, George MacDonald uses the birch tree very often as a very feminine figure with long hair, and it's often a very friendly figure, but all these encounters in the beginning are terrifying, but they're not evil. Okay, so that's just chew on that a little. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the fish shows up because it's following her because the great mother, who's dressed in green, who do you think she is? Who's the green man? You know the green man, the story of the green man? No? Okay. Well, she's nature. She's mother. She's earth. She's mother. Okay.
And Peter Pan.
Yeah, and that's why she takes the food out of the walls of her cottage, right? So this is her home, and her home is the whole world, and so she can just, here's the bread, here's the milk, right? And she sent the fish to find Tangle. So, and I didn't read it, and I didn't read the part, I skipped a bunch, but Tangle thinks she's sitting at the table for a meal, but she's been there for 3 years. He does that a lot with time, how time is working and how the present can be eternal. And
Come on.
yeah, so, and then the fish leads her to the great mother, and then jumps in the pot. And then Tangle doesn't want to eat the fish because she thinks it's her friend, which is a lot of the ways we see the world. We see it naively, like, I can't do that because that's not nice. but there's a bigger story happening, right?
We see it
And
two-dimensionally instead of three-dimensionally or more.
yeah, and so then in the end, when Tangle eats the fish, she comes into communion with the whole world. She can hear the trees. She can hear, and not just hear them, but first she can just hear them. So this is about attention, right? Suddenly now, oh, the world around her is, coming into her earshot. She can hear them, but then suddenly she starts to hear what they're saying. She understands their speech. And it's because she communing is eating. It's why we have the Lord's Supper, okay? When you take something into yourself, it becomes a part of you. You become a part of it, okay? Like it's very large here. It's really, really good.
Ian had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it wasn't a question.
Or, yes, insertion.
Yes. So I have been following like different art pages on X, and one of them showed a sketch of a woman who sort of like half hiked up her dress, and there's like this demon thing, and there was this story about how that was somehow a tradition in the medieval times to reveal oneself to demons, and somebody put a caption that was like describing that it's because of the feminine's capacity to consume, and so the devil is afraid of that, and it was this whole thing. But this idea of communion being consumption is very interesting to me, and feminine, because a woman takes within herself that which is within the man and creates something of that, like biologically, but obviously symbolically as well. And this is something that I was like, oh, like I've experienced this with my wife, where there's stuff in me that I couldn't give you a straight linear path to getting that to be, like my potential. I can't realize my potential strictly by, like toughing it out or whatever. But through this communion, where my wife can sort of break me down through relationship and consume me, and then spit out something that is revitalized, from all of these sort of dark and inner things that I am not even aware of sometimes. I just thought that was really cool, and I concur with the communion thing.
Church is the bride of Christ, right? And we in the Orthodox think of the church as the Theotokos, right? So and then we have these bridegroom matins, right, where we're waiting for the bridegroom to arrive. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're waiting for the bridegroom to arrive. So, yeah. But to me, that story, it's all about communing with nature. It's getting out of the mess that you've built and back into the natural world. And the point is that the natural world has a lot of things to say that you don't ever hear because you're so busy in this life building this messy stuff that you don't sit back and relax and have coffee hour without the priests thinking we need to structure 14 things during coffee hour, because what are these people going to do if I don't structure things for them, right? Well, what they're going to do is they're going to listen to nature, right? And I don't know why the fear, there would be a fear of that, but it seems like it is a masculine fear, right? It seems like the feminine is saying stop that and take a step back and and listen to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what's cool about the rest of it, just to finish the summary there for Rigel,
Yeah.
is that after she encounters the fact that now that she's communed with nature, she understands nature, and then the mother opens the little lid of the pot, and the fish is transformed into something fully other, right? And it flies out from that communion into the darkness.
Yeah, it's a
So
reincarnational story, right? The reincarnation, the idea is that every incarnation you're achieving a hopefully you're achieving a higher goal if you've done things right. And the fish did the right thing. The fish brought a person back to recommune with nature, and was rewarded with a higher level of existence.
And it sacrifices itself. Like there's many First Nations myths talk about the fact that, like their origin stories, often talk about the fact that the first human washes up somewhere, right? And nature, the animals find it. They find it and they look at it and they go, what is this? It's never going to survive. Like, it's got no teeth. It's got no claws. It's got no fur, right? And it's walking around with its belly exposed, which is your most, vulnerable part, right? I mean, that's what animals rip into when they kill something. We're gonna have to die for this thing. We're gonna have to die for it, right? So, like, it's really interesting because First Nations understand sacrifice, right? They
Are you
understand.
familiar with that documentary about the Orthodox Church in Alaska, Sherry?
I haven't watched it, but I've seen the trailer.
Okay, yeah. It's
Yeah.
I thought it was really delightful, and maybe it was more interesting to me because I don't do the incense or the bell ringing, so it was like all fresh and new to me. But
Well, my sister came with me to the Orthodox Church. She lives in a First Nations community. Like, she's been there for 40 years. And a very remote community. Like, my sister and her husband lived in a wall tent for the first 2 years of their marriage, and had babies in a wall tent, and lived by a river, and she washed her jeans in the current, kind of thing. Anyway, she walked into the church with me for my baptism, and the incense was going, and she goes, "Sherry, that smells just like smudge." I said, "It is smudge. It's the same thing, Tracy. Human beings have been smudging forever. Prayers always rise up,
yes,
right?
What's smudge?
The
Sage.
incense.
Oh,
The most expensive spices.
Cleansing smokes.
Yeah,
The most expensive
and-
spices in history are incense spices.
yeah, and like smudge here is made with sagebrush, and it smokes, right? And then you do this, which is what I mean. I was privileged to at Northwestuary. Nate's wife opened up the Sabbath for everybody at a dinner that I was at, and because she's the feminine, and the world to come is ushered in by the feminine. Okay, the Sabbath. So she lights the candles, and then she invites the Shekinah. It's the same movement that First Nations do when they're cleansing with smudge. When something
That's what the Orthodox Church does. Every
the
liturgy
Orthodox Church
begins.
does everything.
Every liturgy has to begin with the
Smudging.
offering up of incense to bring the Spirit of God down.
Yeah.
Every liturgy begins with that.
Yeah. So when people go, "Oh yeah, smells and bells," I'm like, "Oh,
I
like
know, I do too. It kills me
like-
because you have no idea.
On some level, it's an offering, and on another level, it's a cleansing, a dispersal.
Yeah.
So
Aroma never lies.
Yeah,
Aroma
and-
never lies.
it's communal. It's not just for one person. Everybody smudges. And oftentimes at First Nation ceremony, one person, an elder, will smudge everyone like that, and that's exactly what happens in an Orthodox liturgy. So
Sorry, when you talked about, I want to go back to the story for a second, and you talked about Tangle. When she first was offered the food out of the pot, she was reluctant because she thought it was her friend. She didn't want to eat her
right.
friend or the thing that she trusted. She didn't want to do that. And at that point, she had a leap of faith. But why did she have that leap of faith? Was it because of a gut reaction to Mother Nature, or where did she access that moment?
She believed the green man.
It was, well, first of all, without finding it here, I think I can remember. She's called the grandmother, actually, in the story. And the grandmother says to her, "I know how you feel." Okay. Like, so she empathizes with her.
Yeah, okay.
And And this is a grandmother speaking to a child. Okay. So, you know, as children, we have visceral reactions to things like broccoli or spinach or whatever, right? And our grandmother will say, I know, but you know, and then as we age, we go, oh yeah, that's actually good for us, or whatever the case might be, right? So this is one of those encounters, but it's also Tangle's experience where she takes that first bite and suddenly she can hear creation.
She has to take that first bite, though. That's an interesting thing, because you wonder, you know, sometimes it would be people put up the stop sign constantly on something new, especially something new that turns them off, you
Right.
know. So how to
Well, that, you know, I just keep coming back to humility, Robin. I was
also the empathy thing was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I was talking to my friend Jeremy on Lives of the Saints, which I can highly recommend. It was a mind-blowing episode, just so you guys know. I shared a theory that's been bubbling up for
It's
many
too late
years.
at night to watch.
But well, you can always watch it this afternoon.
Oh, I do. I'm just saying.
But anyway, what was I going to say? What were we talking about?
Empathy.
Leaps of faith, or trusting someone else's.
Oh, St. Christopher.
offering.
We were talking about St. Christopher, and St. Christopher's story is so like huge. And that's what I talk about. I talk about what I came to understand through that story. But part of it is that he seeks the highest. Okay. So in the story, St. Christopher wants to serve the highest. And so for a while he's serving the devil because he doesn't know there's anything higher. And then he sees somebody, I think it's a king, cross himself when he sees the devil. And St. Christopher's like, what's that? And he goes, oh, I'm protecting myself from him. And St. Christopher says, well, who has the power over this? This is the highest. And he's like, no, Christ is the highest. Oh, really? Oh, okay. And off he goes. I got to find him, right? And what's really interesting about that is that he has the humility to let go of what he thinks is the highest. Okay. And this is something that you see people digging in with their ideas or digging in with their theology or digging in with their ideology, right? No, this is the highest. Okay. And I'm not budging because everyone's looking for a stupid theory of everything. Really. One thing, right, is the cause of all the rest of it. No, it's not. Because reality is the natural world, and the natural world is interconnected, and everything is very complex. And
oh my God, it's just like medicine. It's like we want one thing to fix our body, one thing will fix you, but it's actually a whole body that needs to be tended to.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
wonder what Tangle's higher purpose was. Like, what is Tangle going to sacrifice herself for?
oh well, you got to read the story.
Yeah, you got to read the rest of the story.
like-
But at least she's learning the idea that in nature, everything sacrifices itself. And because we're part of nature, we will sacrifice ourselves. It's just a matter of what sort of higher ideal, how are you going to turn from a fish into a bird or whatever it is, the story. How are you going to do that? What are you going to attach yourself to that will take you to a higher place? A sacrifice that's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the deal. You have to, as Ian said earlier, you have to suffer. So like Tangle has a moment of suffering when she is presented with the fish on the plate. Right? And then you have to, through that suffering, you have to have humility. You have to have the humility to think, well, maybe the grandmother knows something I don't know yet. Right?
Yeah.
She doesn't know she doesn't know that there's a prize at the end of the thing, at the end of her suffering. She's not like, oh yeah, well, if I do really good here, I can be great up here. She doesn't know that. Yeah.
I want to hear what Ian was trying to say.
Yes.
I know. Chomping at the bit. I was going to say that it's a network of relationships, but then you guys took it in the direction of suffering, and I think those two things fit together perfectly. Like, I think that it's network of relational suffering. And so you have the grandmother who is obviously sacrificed to this point to be able to have a grandchild. That's an immense amount of suffering consistently and well. And the grandmother stands, just around the bend or just up the hill on the hike, and she can say, "Come on, Tangle, come with me, come this way. This is the way that, like, I know what's up here because I'm here and I can see, and this is the way that you can come and follow me." And that "come follow me" is something that I just got to talk to. He's like a psychologist that talks about narcissism, and we were talking about generational schism and the way that, like, narcissists don't care about the people coming after them, and so then they have all of this life experience pent up in them, and they have to figure out how to do this relational suffering within themselves. And then there's like midlife crises and all these different effects that take place the further on down the path that you get with your narcissism. But if you can operate in a network of relational suffering, then I think you're able to properly channel the things, the sufferings, like we do this together.
Well, that's exactly, let me just say this really quickly. Operate in a, what did you say? Something of relational?
A network of relational suffering.
Okay, well, that is who we are.
Yeah.
We don't have to try to do that. We have to know that that's the story we're in. And that's what happens to Tangle, okay? Tangle sitting at the table, she can't hear the world around her. She doesn't understand any of it. It's just her and a fish on a plate. And she takes of it, and she hears the whole world, and she understands their language. Okay?
Yeah.
Right,
So
it's the lesson that suffering's highest form is a sacramental form. And then it's a matter of what is the sacrifice for. Suffering is always a matter of sacrifice if you're thinking about it properly. Well, if you're suffering and just resigned to it, then you're missing the best opportunity in the world, because the best opportunity is that you'll grow into learning how to properly sacrifice through your suffering if you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not insulting you at all, Ian. It just keeps slapping me up in the face when people say things like, "We just have to, build this or fix this or know this," or, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you just have to open your eyes and your ears.
Yeah.
It's about attention.
I think that's what I said, but okay.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's true.
I agree with that. I think that I was listening to somebody and they were talking about, like, there's some Taoist thing about the master never does anything and never leaves anything undone. And it's the principle of, like, not doing. And that's the way of being.
Doing.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. And
Actually leads to doing.
Yes, in its proper form. I was thinking too of our, like, a human being is omnivorous, and so we actually do have all of these different things to choose to commune with, and that's relatively unique. Like, there's very few of the creatures, or at least of the types of creatures, are omnivorous, and so that provides us with a fascinating analogy, I think, to this opportunity.
Well, that's also the vision that Peter gets from God.
What were you saying, Ian?
Just that it offers us an analogy for our struggle to pass up, like what Sherry was saying, when we're worshiping the devil as though he's the highest thing. When we see somebody else cross themselves, we say, "No, I've got the highest thing already. You're wrong about your thing," rather than saying, "Oh, cool," and accepting a new communion with a new higher thing. And I also wanted to say that I don't know that it's intuitive, but maybe it is, like, deeply, deeply intuitive. But Christ takes up the lowest place, like the highest hides in the lowest. And so, for all of my masculine, we need to try and build and whatever, it's like, actually, I probably need to release, like you're saying, and move into the parts of me that are bubbling up with the lowness that is necessary to commune with Christ. Like, I have within me a wealth of things that are low and base and broken that I can rely on as sort of like a source of communion, a source of food in the desert, or these types of places that I don't naturally drift towards, because I could see the glory in being in pursuing the highest and saying, well, I have the highest right here, and I serve it. But if I am honest with myself, I don't tend to grow in those places. I tried to be a pastor one time, and that was a form of that, I think, trying to grasp at the highest rather than, at least for me, I'm not saying the profession, but just for me. And since then, it's been a lot of wilderness walking with my wife and my 1.5-year-old son, and trying to find Christ and all of that. And I think that he really does meet me most at my most, my lowest, my brokenness.
I just had this thought of how the bubbles connect the lowest to the highest. And like as part of a digestive system, like it's the burp.
mixing too,
It's
right?
it's
It's a
no
mixing.
the burp is like the offering, the thine own of thine own. It's taking in, digesting, and then the bubbles rising up from that deep, dark ugliness and expressing.
And it makes everybody laugh.
It does.
Yes.
It does. I feel like we need to bring burping back to like part of our communing rituals.
Yes, and more beer.
And more beer. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, this is great.
We're not getting rid of the wine.
No,
Don't worry.
You're safe.
No
You're
way.
safe.
Don't worry.
I was gonna say, my son, we gave him his middle name based off of. I just don't say his name on things, so but I'll just say it's based off of the Japanese word for lotus, and the idea is that lotus symbolizes a flower that returns to the depths and then to the surface every morning, and so it like closes and opens, and it's like
Also
a
grows out
hero's
of
journey.
mud. It grows out of
Yes.
mud.
Yes, yeah, it's a hero's journey in a flower, and so yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well-
I think. Go ahead, Rod.
Well, I was just gonna say we've got 8 minutes until we have to land the plane. So I was just gonna, Stephen, make your remarks, and then we can go around and just kind of share any.
I'll
anything
make
you
my
wanna take
remarks
from
and
this.
land my plane at the same time.
Great.
So yeah, thinking about this, it's like that the directedness it really is killer. You have to direct yourself, but you have to remain open while you're being directed, and everything will let you down in that way, right? Every goal you go after, the people that are saying do this, will let you down. And I talk highly of the church a lot, but I'm also critical of the church. And I wrote another poem this morning
Yes.
on this topic. Today was crazy. And just to give it a little quick background, this is about my baptism. So my baptism was the most amazing thing. But in one part of it, at the beginning of it, you have to read certain lines. You're supposed to have memorized certain lines and say these certain lines. And I didn't realize that was going to be happening. And because my priest didn't want to take the time to sit with me and memorize the lines, that during this cosmic naval event of my baptism, he shoved a book in front of my face and said, read these lines. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm reading. And this is like this is, so anyway, so I wrote this. It's called This Church. You pretended to enable everlasting life, but I wasn't even aware that it was poetry. You had me recite then, sight unseen, and veiled by your hand, unexplored and unlived. So here I am. Oh, why did you think my baptism was your goal and not my salvation?
Oh,
So I can dig in.
You certainly can.
Fantastic.
So, and I'll tell you one last little bit is that after my baptism and after it was all over, the priest came to me and said, Steve, I want you to remember something. I said, what's that? And he says, people will always let you down. Even in this church, they will always let you down. I'm like, I could tell you an instance because it's fresh in my mind, Father.
That's
You were
great.
sassy.
Well, I have to say, I feel like as a veteran convert speaking to a new convert, I think the sooner people take their priest off of a pedestal, the better. Like the sooner kind of like real growth can happen. That's just my hot take. So you're well on your way. All right, let's go around and just share a word, a thought, a soliloquy of your takeaway from today's chat, or some little beautiful offering, you know. Anyone want to start? Oh, Ian, I keep muting you because I think you have some background music going or something like that. So I just wanted to hear Stephen fully. All right. How about Robin? Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I just finished a song about a hummingbird, and it's so this whole thing about this kid. I got to read this book, Sherry, because this whole thing about Tangle is just like taking hold of my heart right now. But the very last verse of that song I wrote is rising from the wreckage, shimmer on fire. You sing, I sing, we sing. We can always go higher. Are we going to let mean fuckery stand in the way of something like that? That's the song. But basically, it's like fear and hate and all the things that stand in our way, or trust, lack of trust, anything that stands in our way. We can't let stuff stand in the way of something like how incredible it could be. We don't even know what it is. It's not like we're looking for that particular prize. We just don't even know how open, then opener, and then more open it can be. So that's your book. Thank you, Sherry. And I got to go get that.
You have to.
I have to.
Yeah.
Well, I got a couple things. I'm just going to read a very short piece here, and then I have a poem. But in the story, Tangle meets Mossy, and the mother tells them to go together out into the world. And at one point, she says, you know, you'll come to a place, I'm not exactly sure where it is, and you're going to lose each other, but just keep going. Just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So as evening drew on, the shadows fell deeper and rose higher. So they're in this land of shadows now. At length, they had reached a place where they rose above their heads and made all dark around them. And then they took hold of each other's hand and walked on in silence and in dismay. They felt the gathering darkness and something strangely solemn besides, and the beauty of the shadows ceased to delight them. All at once, Tangle found that I always get really emotional here, that she had not a hold of Mossy's hand, though when she lost it, she could not tell.
Oh, my.
Suddenly she remembered that the beautiful lady had told them if they lost each other in a country of which she could not remember the name, they were not to be afraid, but to go straight on. So, I'm going to read The Incarnate One by Edwin Muir. The windless northern surge, the seagulls scream, and Calvin's kirk crowning the barren brae. I think of Giotto, the Tuscan shepherd's dream, Christ, man, and creature in their inner day. How could our race betray the image and the incarnate one unmake, who chose this form and fashion for our sake? The word made flesh is here. The word made flesh here is made word again, a word made word in flourish and arrogant crook. And see there King Calvin with his iron pen, and God, 3 angry letters in a book. And there, the logical hook on which the mystery is impaled and bent into an ideological argument. There's better gospel in man's natural tongue, and truer sight was theirs outside the law, who saw the far side of the cross among the archaic peoples in their ancient awe, in ignorant wonder saw the wooden cross tree on a bare hillside, not knowing that there a God suffered and died. The fleshless word growing will bring us down. Pagan and Christian man alike will fall. The auguries say the white and black and brown, the merry and the sad, theorist, lover, all invisibly will fall. Abstract calamity, save for those who can build their cold empire on the abstract man. A soft breeze stirs, and all my thoughts are blown far out to sea and lost. Yet I know well the bloodless word will battle for its own invisibly in brain and nerve and cell. The generations tell their personal tale. The one has far to go, past the mirages and the murdering snow.
Woo. All right, Ian. Final thoughts? Oh, you're muted. Sorry. I muted. I think I muted you. Okay.
I had this story pulled up because of Robin's past with the Mooney organization, and I have never really heard them culturally referenced, but in this book, Abba's Child by Brennan Manning, which I highly recommend all of Brennan Manning's stuff, Abba's Child in particular is excellent. And he talks about this story of meeting Mooney on the street, and he meets her, asks her what church she's from. He asks her if she's a Mooney. She says yes. And he says she had 2 strikes against her. First, she was a pagan who did not acknowledge Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. And second, she was a mindless, witless, naive, vulnerable kid who had been brainwashed by mesmerized by a cult. And he says, you know something, Susan? I deeply admire your integrity and your fidelity to your conscience. You're out here tramping the streets, doing what you really believe in. You are a challenge to anyone who claims the name of Christ. Are you a Christian? She asked. Yes, he replied. She lowered her head and her tears began falling on the sidewalk. A minute later, she said, I've been on my mission here in the quarter for 8 days now. You're the first Christians who have been nice to me. The others have either looked at me with contempt or screamed and told me that I was possessed by a demon. One woman hit me with her Bible.
Oh.
And then Manning goes on to, ask Christians to reflect, like, what would you do? What would you do in this situation? And I guess I'll share this. I was listening to a podcast with Joe Hudson. He's like this emotional guru dude who's probably a little sketchy, and I don't know, but he's got some cool insights every once in a while. And he said, when you're judging someone, he likes to stop and say, what would you have to feel if you couldn't judge this person?
Oh.
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah. And I think Christians have that imperative sort of baked into their belief system.
It's a
the person
go-to.
they're
It's a
following.
go-to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, I just wanted to offer that. And I thank you all for listening and talking with me today.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, thank you all. And thank you everyone in the chat. I feel like we've had a lively chat. Skankenstein, aka Matt, has been like dropping bombs out there. And my takeaway was from Skankenstein. Churches need to waste more time together. And I would just say we need to waste more time together. So I'm taking that with me.
I think that's what we do here.
This is like the one time in the week where I actually just get to like waste time in a focused.
You and your timers.
Yeah.
Good,
Hey.
good wasting of time.
I know,
Good
it's a
amount of
good-
time waste.
Total time wasting. Robin,
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Robin on your email list, Rigel?
Yeah. I think so. Robin, did you get my email reminder?
To do this?
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, somehow, can you hook me up with Robin? Can I have
Oh
your
yeah.
email?
Yeah, she's also on the 100 Days of Creating
Yeah.
Discord server, but
I'll
I'll
just tell you,
connect you too.
It's mockingbird.trio at Yahoo.
Mockingbird.trio.
I'll do a little email intro. email
Okay,
intro.
thank you. Because I just, if you're gonna read the Golden Key,
Oh
I
yeah.
I would love to read it again. If you want to do it together,
Oh,
would you?
Yes.
Okay.
I predicted that you two would get along.
Yeah, you said this a long time ago.
I said this a long time ago.
Yeah.
All right. Lovely being with you all together. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you out there in the next ever present, already but not yet, Cosmic Navel sesh.
I just want to say
Rachel.
one little thing. I'm thinking about buying myself a sawmill.
Yeah, do it. I've been
Are you gonna
seeing
make barrel
the algo's been feeding up a lot of sawmill shorts in my feed. So
Oh, and by the way, Christian Baxter did a video the other day, Build and Something, or Build and Not Think, or something it's called. And halfway through, he goes into a forge.
oh my God.
And I'm like, Rigel's got to see this. So I'm telling you, it's a short video. You got to watch it, Rigel. It's so good.
Okay. I gotta go pick up my child.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye and bye. Whoops. I have to end stream. End stream.